Hello, everyone. Welcome to my show. I'm the Empath, and today I'm here to talk to you about a very, very important issue zombies. Now, I realize that the whole concept of a zombie apocalypse in many thought processes is implausible. Some would even say impossible. I believe that to varying levels, it's a possibility. There could be something magical and ethereal that we don't understand, so we call it magic, even though it could be something scientific, that causes those who die, like not like really dead corpses like skeletons. No, that is very implausible in my mind. Slim probability if there's some weird science that we don't get that can do that, but not very likely for an actual zombie apocalypse that we had any potential to see really within the next hundred or thousands of years. If there was some sort of virus that did something, there could be something like that, or some medical treatment. And the way I would see it is essentially they would be dead and they'd be reanimated, but their mind would be like decayed enough so that decayed to the point where they can't really have much thought process other than I need to eat. So they would just eat whatever. In which case I would think that they would eat each other as well, but they might not because they could like smell or taste the decay, so they'd be like, "You're dead too. I can't eat you. You taste disgusting. Ew. Yuck. Ugh. I want to be the one to digest my own food, not for it to be digesting itself." So, aside from the plausibility of a zombie apocalypse, in case it should happen to you, or if you just want to create some sort of game or story that is about a zombie apocalypse, here are some good do's and don'ts to keep in mind. So, a good do of a zombie apocalypse is to try as hard as you can to stay in groups. Don't go alone. If you're in a group, then if you get ambushed by zombies, then you can at least have someone to have your back. Shoot them, club them, kick them, something to keep you safe from that. In a zombie apocalypse, you need to figure out by what means is anyone liable to become a zombie. Is it just by biting? Is it by scratching? Is it just if you die, you're a zombie? You want to figure out what it is that is going to turn someone into a zombie and do whatever the heck you can to avoid it, to prevent it. If it's just dying makes you a zombie, well, try not to die. Next thing you're going to want to figure out is what kind of zombies are there. And when I mean what kind, I mean, are they fast zombies? Can they run all over the place like in World War Z? Are they slow zombies like in The Walking Dead? Are they really just like people where, if they see a target they might start running after it, otherwise they're regular? Maybe they're like zombies in I Am Legend where they can move fast but they're sensitive to daylight. If they're fast zombies like in World War Z, you're a little bit screwed. If they're like in I Am Legend, sunlight is your friend, barricade yourself in at night. If they are just like walkers, keep fast, don't stay in one place too long unless you have an easy way out or unless you can get them distracted away with noise or with maybe some form of meat or food that you are willing to throw away. The other thing you want to keep in mind, and this is just a general rule for anything, try not to piss people off. The more you piss someone off, the harder it's going to be on you. There's going to be fighting, people are going to argue with each other, and more than likely, someone's going to end up dead because of it. Whether it's because a zombie's going to get them, or because, one of you kills them. And if you're in a sort of situation where death brings about zombie, killing them is not the best. Having people die unnecessarily is not the best idea. Another thing to try to keep in mind is it possible to create an antidote? If it's being bitten that infects, then you want to take care of that. If it's like everyone's already infected, try to find a cure for that. The way you do that is you let somebody, not let somebody, but if somebody is bitten, you try to help them out, try to let them live, you try to help them survive. Because if it's a virus that they can just beat and their system can produce like the right antibodies and white blood vessels in order to get rid of the virus, then what you do after they've survived for a reasonable amount of time to determine if they're actually like safe from it, you try to take their blood and make a vaccine using it. And then you test it on the next person who's been bitten. And if they're fine, then you try to test it on someone who maybe isn't bitten after you've done enough tests. At the very least, if it works, then you have something to cure yourself if zombie bites are what infect you. And then you don't have to worry about a zombie bite so much. Like I said, you don't want to be held out in one place for too long. You want to keep on the move as much as you can. So you want to have some form of transportation. Bicycle, not the best idea, but if it's what you have, then it might be something good to use. However, you don't want to hang on to it too much if you come into terrain that you can't handle and there are zombies who are chasing you, whether they are slow or fast. A car would be ideal, but there's just the matter of fueling it. If you have a potential in whatever day and state that this potential zombie apocalypse occurs, where the car doesn't need fuel, it just needs like sunlight or something like that, that's good. Use it. Finding transportation to other countries could be a good idea. Maybe whatever's going on in other countries is either maybe what's going on in your country isn't going on in other countries, or maybe other countries have it managed better. Try as much as you can to avoid the woods. There's too many things to run into, too little space, too easy for a zombie to pop up around the corner and to nab you. Go nom 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 all over your flesh. Something else you want to try to do is find a way to get a community together. If you were, say, go out, get everyone, together, and to put an announcement, be like, hey, we're going to all stick together, but we need to kind of work out the new order, how to take care of things. I would try my best to take charge, not any sort of thing because I want power, no, but because I want as many people as I can to survive this zombie apocalypse, and I don't want people to do stupid things like, oh, they're bitten, let's just shoot them, or something like Crawford, and they eliminate all of the injured and all of the elderly. You don't want any stupid crap like that to go on. What the heck kind of a society is that? Just try to make sure that you get a community and that someone or a group of people is in charge who aren't going to screw things up. Typically, if I were to advise someone, you'd particularly want a gamer because they are used to playing survival type games. You'd want a military official, like a soldier, who will help you with strategies. And you want a parent. You want basically a group of people from every diversity so that you get an idea of what does this person think, what does this person think, and you try to find where all of you line up and get that in motion first, then hash out any differences later. Something else you want to do is arm yourself. Guns aren't always the best thing. They make a lot of sound. They will attract the zombies most likely. However, it's good to have one on you, at the very least a pistol. That way, if you get into anything serious and you're kind of screwed either way, you at least have something on you that's got range. A crossbow could also be good because you could potentially recover your ammo or make new ammo, though it's not always going to work out that way. A bow would also be effective, but that really depends upon which one is easier. I haven't had much experience with either, so I can't say. Another good weapon would be something like a baseball bat or a sword, like a katana. Those would be really good things, though you want to make sure you get plenty of practice at it. Maybe try taking something that you can actually swing at, like if you have a dummy, or if you can make a dummy. Try getting a good swing at it. Try as hard as you can to, I don't know, if it's a bat, try to bat off whatever you're using as the head. If it's a sword, cut off the head. You want to make sure that you can do that. Always go for the head. If you take out the brain, chances are they can't do much. I can't think of a way that they would be able to. Cut off the head, bat off the head, shoot the head. The idea that if you cut off a zombie's head and it's still functioning is highly, highly implausible. Understanding that a zombie apocalypse, talking about that sounds implausible to begin with, but the fact that detached from the thinking center that they could still function is not very likely at all. If you shoot them in the head, that should take them out. Though don't always rely on that, because again, you're dealing with zombies and we don't have any concrete thing on them because we haven't experienced the zombie apocalypse yet. Your best bet, if at all possible, is to cut off the head. If you can't do that, smash the brains in, shoot the brains in, take out the brain. This idea that people have that of the undead going around being like, brains, brains, is just absurd. Zombies don't care about your brain. They're hungry. They want to eat you. Doesn't matter if it's your brain or anything like that. They just want to eat you. Doesn't matter. Always double tap. Always double tap. If you see a zombie, or at least just a dead person, and they're just lying there, be like, don't take that for granted. Even if they've been bashed in the head, don't take that for granted. And unless you know for certain that there's not any sort of weird come back to life without their head thing, always double tap. At the very least, if you have even if you just have your boot or something like that, give it an extra whack. Smash it. I mean, another good item, and this you'd likely have this if you are old or injured beforehand, a cane. Good cane. Mine's even able to be wrapped up so that it just is easy storage. I'm in trouble with this last part. Carry it around, and then it simply folds out like that. And you can use it to smash things. So you'd want to use something like this and smash the thing's head in just to make sure that it's all the way dead and isn't going to try to come back and eat your face off. The other thing to worry about is other people. Zombies, at least if you're dealing with walkers, I'm going off of walkers with most of what I'm saying here. With walkers, you don't have that much to worry about. They're walkers. At the very least, you could outrun them as long as they don't get you surrounded, which is something you should make sure doesn't happen. Never get surrounded. Walkers aren't all that much to worry about, unless there's a lot of them. You can easily take out one at a time as long as you have something with some decent range. Your biggest worry is going to be other people. Other people aren't always so bright. There are people who act entirely off of stupid things like fear, emotion, like hatred, sadness, anxiety, depression. Those are the people to watch out for. Also the power hungry and the greedy. Something good to follow is General Order 619. If they're emotionally compromised, you probably don't want them in charge, because then they're just going to make a whole bunch of decisions that are if you've got someone who's incredibly angry, you don't want them in charge in most cases, because then they're just going to be like, well, you're pissing me off. Military people aren't always good to have in charge, especially if it's someone who's going to give you a whole bunch of CIA crap about that this is classified, that's classified. You don't want that in charge. You don't want secrets. Which brings me to my next point. Don't keep secrets. If you're keeping secrets from people, that's not going to do them any good. But what if that's gonna not, I'm trying not to hurt them. They're gonna find out eventually. The only way they won't find out is if you died or if they died. Don't keep secrets. Keep people as much as you can in the know. Just try to do it in a way that they'll be able to take it down as easily as they can. If someone's kid or family has died, and you know that for certain, then let them know. Do it with some empathy, do it compassionately, but let them know. I mean, if you're going to hold back from them that something like their family has died, or in some cases where zombie apocalypse has gone on, you're going to keep from them that there's a zombie apocalypse going on, then you're just making things worse for them. Your biggest worry is not going to be zombies if you're in a walker zombie apocalypse. Your biggest worry is going to be people. People doing stupid things. People where you tell them to do one thing, and because they're afraid or nervous, they do something different. People who think that they can do it better, and so they're going to try to overthrow you. People who think that they're going to be their group, steal from everyone else, kill everyone else, to get what they need to survive. Those people are your worry. And besides, with a walker, you can kill it and have virtually no remorse. If it's someone you know, you might have trouble. If it's someone else knows that you know, then you might have trouble. But for the most part, it's just going to be some dead thing that's ugly and disfigured that's trying to kill you. So it's not going to give you that much trouble, or at least it shouldn't. With people, you have to worry about the moral implication of this person is alive, I am alive, I am killing it. It's not always an easy thing for people to do. In fact, it drives a lot of people crazy. Then again, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Food is another big problem of a zombie apocalypse. With all the chaos and anarchy that's going on, there's not that many people who are going to keep making food. Which is why in your community, you need to make sure that you're making food, no matter how small your community is. Work on farming. If everyone who's alive is hunting, then you're not going to have that much food. You need to work on a farm. Plants are renewable resources. Just make sure that if make sure you know about what contamination things are going on, so that you know how you need to deal with your food, how you need to disinfect it potentially. But try to develop a system of self-maintenance, because then you will have food and you'll have a lot easier time managing the zombie apocalypse. Where's the other issue? You need to make sure that you have some form of water and a water purification system. If it comes down to it, you might need to set it up so that water waste that people use goes into a system that is filtered out. Maybe boil it and get rid of all the gunk. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Do not resort to cannibalism. That is so unhuman, and at that point, where the heck is the line? Where's the line if you resort to cannibalism? You are no better than the zombies. You're just smarter. And not exactly dead. That's it. Don't resort to cannibalism. You can find another way. Like I said, make your own food. Grow some plants and crap. If you can't find plants, then go out, find plants, start making food. But don't resort to cannibalism. Because at that point, life is it's going downhill. Animals are something to think about. If you have a dog, that can be really helpful. But just keep an eye on it if it starts getting hungry, because it might attack you if you withhold food from it. You gotta be careful with animals. You have to treat them well. If you don't treat them well, then considering that food can be an issue, they might turn on you. And then if the zombie bites are an issue and you have a bite from an animal on you, then they're gonna be all like, hey, he's been bitten. They might shoot you on sight. And you don't want that. Kids are another issue. You have to make sure they don't do stupid things, don't wander off. Make sure they're safe. Kids should be your first issue. because they're gonna be what continues on. And you shouldn't exactly be afraid to have kids. A instinct of humans and the entire human race is to keep going on. And if you kill off the kids, if you don't have kids, how are things supposed to keep going on? I realize that makes things a lot more difficult. But if we're able to beat the whole zombie thing, then what else? What's left? I mean, imagine if the zombie apocalypse ends and all the women die. Then you're kind of screwed. Something to think about. Something you might want to get yourself or someone else or a group of people even doing is working on containing the zombies. Now, if it's this big outbreak thing, then you might not be able to. However, what you could potentially do is try to at least give yourself as much wiggle room as you can in this world. Get a small group of people with, some ranged weapons. Like I said, canes can be useful. There's also swords and bats. Something with some range, something that can be used to bludgeon someone's brains in. You want to get a small group of people to go out and into different areas and smash up the zombies. Beat them down. Because the more of them you beat down, the easier it is to survive. You don't have to worry about around every corner there's going to be a zombie, or have to worry about distracting them. Just beat them down. If you can take out, 10, let's say you can take out 10 every hour, and a search party goes for 6 hours, you've got 60 zombies less to deal with. And I realize there's a lot of bodies to go around in the world, but if there are other survivors taking them out as well as they encounter them, and if you're taking out several a day, well, you're going to have a lot less to deal with. And then the only real bodies to worry about after a certain point are any bodies that your community generates. Then you're a lot better off. I mean, it's worth doing, especially if you're planning on having future generations, because then they'll have fewer zombies to deal with, and they can keep going on. And if this whole zombie apocalypse thing can be dealt with, if you can get it managed and under control, then you can develop a society that realizes that with its dead to take care of them fairly immediately. With the dead, not with people who are close to death. Don't get into that area because I've already covered that. Another thing you want to do, you're going to want to burn the bodies, the zombie bodies. That ensures to you that they're not going to come back, because it's hard to come back without a body. And that clears up a bunch of space in the world, because otherwise you're just going to have a bunch of bodies lying everywhere. Something else you're going to want to do aside from burning zombies is there are some things you're going to want to burn. Take down a town, burn it, blow it up. Because there's this whole thing about being renewed by fire. There have been several instances where there have been ice ages and then mass scale eruption type deals. It's purification through fire. It gets down all of the bad things to a reasonable level, and then life starts regrowing. So, I mean, the advantage to the potential annihilation of the human race is that eventually you'd have to think that maybe everything would come to fire and get dealt with, and then the world starts anew. And that, if you're going to die and you're fairly certain of that, that's at least a comforting thought. At least to me it is. That, even if we're all to pass, eventually things are going to get redone. Because just having the thought of the world is a walking zombie, the walking zombie apocalypse, then it's not a very comforting thought. That's part of why I say, try to kill as many zombies as you can, because then it makes that whole fire thing seem a little bit more plausible to me. Don't go alone if it can be helped. If you're on your own, it's easy to get surrounded, or it's easy to get snuck up on, and then you're screwed. Don't go anywhere without a weapon if it can be helped. If you have no weapon, zombie come up, zombie smash, or zombie chomp. Ah, ah. You need a weapon. Besides, if you have the right kind of weapon, then you can also have an easier time getting into places, using it to prop things open, pry things open. You want a weapon slash tool. And like a pocket knife type deal wouldn't be ideal, but if it's all you have, then take it. It's better than nothing. Your fists aren't always the greatest in a zombie apocalypse, especially if it's like, ooh, fist, ah! Keep an eye on that sort of thing. Another don't. I can hardly stress this enough. Don't go all Dawn of the Dead type deal on me, or because then you're gonna get stuck in one place. Now, if it's something like you've got a community and you're staying in a town, fine. But if you're doing that whole stay in a mall thing and there are the zombies outside, then you're a little bit screwed. Because then all they have to do is wait you out, starve you out. Based on what kind of area you're in, you're probably not going to have to worry too much about being entirely holed up in one place. Like, not with zombies lined up all around the building, like in some movies that I've seen. You're probably not going to have to deal with that because they are not all that smart. Or at least they don't tend to be. So you could just, at the very least, wait for them to go away, or at least enough of them to go away, and then you bash them about. Bash the ones about, get them out slowly, bit by bit. You create more space for the zombies to go around, fewer people going fewer places, then you'll have an easier time of coming up with, okay, there's few enough of them now, let's bash our way out of here. Another possibility, if you get stuck in one place, try to see if there's a way that you can like go out on top, do some roof hopping, and maybe make a whole bunch of noise somewhere else. Be ready to do some form of self-sacrifice. If you're not that vital to the group, and you have a way that you could save the majority of people, try to do that. I mean, it's one thing if you're the only thing keeping that group together, but if all you are is just an extra, just someone who isn't really doing much with the group, and if you don't do something, you're all gonna die, then do it. And if you're gonna die anyway, try to make it worth something. If you can at least help someone else to survive, as long as that person is worth letting survive, go for it. Why wouldn't you? Other than being a coward. Get past that, suck it up, and fight for the greater good. It's not that difficult to do when you get down to it. It can be difficult to push yourself to something, but if you just let yourself react and just be like, do it, you can push yourself into it pretty easily. If you can, always try to help out anyone you see, any survivors. Try to help them out. That's one more person who can help you out with some of the other tips that I've talked about, like doing a farm or taking out zombies. It's just one more thing that can work in your favor. So go for it. Help them out. Be a good person. Keep up morale. That's going to be a big thing. If you can keep morale up, keep everybody happy, play some games, then you're doing good. You're doing well. Because if morale is low, then you get into some of the fighting. And that's not going to be good for anybody. When people start fighting, the situation gets screwy. Stick together with your people. Try to find a way that everyone can have a common goal, commonly work together, and not just surviving. You want a common idea. If you get into a situation where you have to kill someone's family, make sure that's the last possible solution. If they're a zombie, then fine. If they are just close to death, get in a situation where you can easily deal with them if they come back, but don't just go off and prematurely kill them. Try to manage. Try to have as many people's backs as you can. Get as well liked as you can. You can't get everyone to like you, but you can at least do your best. I don't care how many times I might have to say this, don't keep secrets. If you keep secrets, then that's not going to work for you. People aren't going to trust you. Which brings me to my next thing, stay honest. Don't lie. I would say this no matter what, don't lie. Because if you've got something dark and sinister about you, or anything along those lines that you're just not being truthful about, people aren't going to trust you. And if they don't trust you, it's going to be a lot harder to survive. Well, I think that's all the main things that I can talk about. I talked about food, community, trying to outlast things, and making sure that you keep people safe and don't get infected or anything like that. And I think I've covered all the basics of surviving your average zombie apocalypse. So, if there's anything else you can come up with that would help someone in the events of such a situation, post it in the comments. People should know this stuff because, as crazy and implausible as it is, you should at least have some idea of what you're going to do instead of just freaking out when it could happen and then, well, you're likely going to die. Try to get some idea of what you're going to do. That's all I'm going to talk about on the subject of zombies for now, for this video. Thanks for watching. Like and favorite if you enjoyed. Subscribe to become a VIP today. And I will see you all next time. Have a great day.